planes hit the towers, the planes hit the towers. It was September, really broke my heart. Now it's cold like winter. She gave me head 3 times like she was the wither. Wait, hold on, my heart too cold. I'm eating chicken fingers. I'm driving through the streets with my finger on the trigger. She's bouncing on my meat like Tigger. I'm just chilling with my man, you motherfucker ain't messing with me on that lyrical shit. Hey, it's Gerbert back. This is the Slop Yap channel. Will I ever make creative, hard effort videos on the main channel again? I don't know. Who knows? Which way does the wind blow? These bitches are out of control. You know me, I say it like it is. And I just gotta lay it down flat, right like that. They really think they're all that in a bag of chips. For what? What did they do? Did they create something? Are they good at sports? No. Always walking around acting like they own the place, acting like they're Muhammad's gift to earth. Like, ho, I will throw a rock at your head. No, I'm just kidding. But the truth of the matter is there's a real discrepancy. There's a real imbalance in the sort of social capital between your average man and your average woman. And there's a huge imbalance in the dating market. We see this, there's twice as many single young men as single young women. It gets to a point where it doesn't make sense. The marriage rates are skewed. More young women are married. And it gets to a point, normal people, they can't even deny it anymore. Used to just be a fringe little thing. Oh, you're a loser, you're an incel. Now everybody's got to admit, oh, there's something going on. And there's a lot of conversation on the internet about this. Because it is a prop. All this lookism, black pill stuff blew up. There's a political way to look at it, anti-feminist. You could look at it demographically. All sorts of things. Now me, I'm not going to say it's the Jews. It's even a little corny at this point talking about it, but whatever. It's fun. It is fun. All men are trash. All these women are whores. I mean, come on. It's just a good time. You know it is. Don't gotta be all serious about it. I'm just gonna talk. Have something to listen to going through the doldrums of the day. The postmodern era, you need something in your head while you're playing roguelike games on your computer. But I would advise you sit your white ass down and listen, because I feel like I'm onto something here. I was pondering, melancholically pondering in the goon cave, as you do. And I thought of something that I think is pretty novel. At least I haven't really heard it before. The way I'm going about it, that I think has some explanatory power regarding this imbalance in the dating market, this elevated status of women that extends far beyond what would be natural. You know, some of it is natural. Women having this sort of status, having this much greater attractive power than that of men, because there's a libido gap and there is a difference in gamete production, way more sperms than there are eggs, you know. So here's the general theory. As a result of new media and quote-unquote liberating norms, we have become very oversexualized as a people, as a society. And oversexualization is something that benefits women. Benefits not in the ultimate sense. Ultimately, I don't think it benefits anyone. But it benefits them in that it gives them a very elevated social standing. It gives them increased power over men. Basically, the end result of oversexualization in humans is a situation where men become these deferent gooner simps towards women, and they are unable to demand anything greater from women because they are so utterly ensnared by their hypersexuality. The general culture and the internet, which gives access to all sorts of adult content, instills such a hypersexuality in men. Beating cheeks is just the central focus in their brain, to the point where women get an elevated status and so much attention just for existing. They don't have to do anything else. And this is unique to this time period. There is some explaining to do to make sure it's ironed out, make sure it tracks. Gotta lay down some groundwork. Men have always been very interested in this with women, obviously. But what I am putting forward is this oversexualization, this amplification effect that is unique to this time because of our unique culture, because of our unique technological development. In times past, it was never at all difficult to get a wife. I know the archaeological record, they traced the mitochondrial DNA and 40% of men reproduced while 80% of women did. I'm talking about in civilization, all that stuff predates, that goes back to before the agricultural revolution, the dawn of the agricultural revolution. In civilization, which is what we're talking about, we have a language and writing and computers and buildings. Within any civilization, it was never difficult for a man to find a wife. It was very easy. It just happened. No one had to talk about it. No one had to go, oh, maybe I need to mew. In civilization, which does presuppose monogamy. Monogamy is a prerequisite for any civilization to take place. It's never hard for a guy to find a wife. Now, this is changing. If you were to observe a man from 100, 200 years ago, you would see someone who is much more hormonally virile than a man today. They would have higher testosterone. But at the same time, they would be much less concerned with sex. Even while having higher testosterone, they would not have modern man's hyperfixation with intercourse and women in the same way. The first thing to kind of understand, if you want this theory to make sense, and I'm not saying it's objectively true, but this is what I think, really, your fixation on this kind of thing, there is a connection with libido and your testosterone levels, but it really has to do with the stimuli around you, the culture around you, what you think and what you see. Men are really not supposed to be able to see this many beautiful women that they are able to see through technology. And they can see these women in any position, any situation they would want from a very early age. And what needs to be understood is this doesn't have any sort of sedating or quelling effect. It only makes you more horned up. And this is proven. This is proven. People who watch pornography hyper-focus on sex. They think about it way, way more than the controls who do not watch pornography. The idea that you beat off and then you get less horny is something that can only be believed by people who lack long-term, the ability to think long-term, second-order thinking. That works for maybe a total of 30 fucking minutes after you rub one out, and then you're back in even more. You hyper-focus on it even more. This is the first thing that needs to be understood. It's not something that goes away. The more it's fed, the more it grows. It's not expendable. If this was something that could be expendable, you wouldn't see these OnlyFans models maintain high, steady income. You wouldn't see this massive industry. You wouldn't see any number of things that you see now if guys could beat off and then they got less interested in sex. It's the opposite. It is the very opposite. But here's the thing. It's not like they gain testosterone. It's not like they gain masculinity. They become more like men, more virile. That actually goes down. It's a mental phenomenon. It's a so-called porn brain. Never fed, never satisfied. Never fed, ever satisfied. Do not get it twisted. There are monks in the mountains who have never seen a woman, regardless of their testosterone levels, which may actually be higher than your average modern guy because of their diet, their distance from microplastics, they're closer to nature, whatever. They're not tormented. They're not constantly horned up like the average guy. It really has to do with what you're steeped in, what you're seeing, what you're thinking about. I know this from personal experience, okay? I have not beat off all year. I have decided to be celibate all year completely. Nothing. The only time I have nutted has been in my sweet dreams. And what you find, the way you're able to do this is if you just do not look at anything sexual, if you do not think about anything sexual, you can choose not to be horny for like weeks at a time. And not because your testosterone or actual libido is lower than it was before, but it's just because it's not really something that comes from inside as much as that it's outside. It's provoked, this kind of thing. So the more you indulge it, the more it grows, the more horned up you become, the more hyper-focused you become. This is the first thing to understand. This is the way it works. This idea that you can get rid of it, that you indulge it and it calms, is ridiculous. It's almost like a Freudian type of thing. It's a catharsis. Either way, that's not replicated. It's not real in this scenario at all. So if you look at a guy from 100 years ago, you're looking at a guy who has higher T but is less concerned with they're just not, they don't have this modern hypersexuality, even though they are more libidoed up. So men, they start young, they can see all of these women that they would never have been able to see before the dawn of this technology in all these situations, and it doesn't lessen their desire. It grows it. It's a bottomless pit. So they gain this fixation. And what happens with this fixation is that women gain this immense, irregular, unsustainable amount of value. Men need women in a way that women do not need men. Men need in a way that they haven't ever before. You could argue it has always been a need. It's a biological need. You're less healthy without it. You'll die sooner without it, but it's not like you'll imminently die. It's a real powerful psychological thing now because they're inundated with it. They're steeped with it. For a monk in the mountains, it's not hard to ignore all this stuff. They don't have this media around them where it's constantly pushed, these images are in your head, constant temptation. This is the oversexualization. This is what I'm talking about. It affects men in a way that it doesn't affect women. To the extent that women do become hypersexual is different than the way men do. And a lot of them, it's just like they do not like men nearly as much as men like women. Men are not supposed to be seeing all these beautiful women. You know, what happens with men is that dudes get horny and they call fat hoes thick. That's what happens. We all know it. I know it. You know it. But women, when they become hypersexual in this way, it's very specific and it's towards only a certain amount. It's not really like they'll get in this state and they'll just want any man. Like a man will get in this state and he'll take anything. It's just different. You get what I'm saying? Like, you got to think about this kind of thing in your head, how different things used to be. Dowries used to be offered with virgin brides to men. Offered. Families would give them a girl and free shit, money, cows, cattle to take her. If you really think about it, the man bears the primary burden in marriage. The reason this doesn't make sense now is that men back then, they didn't have this need, this psychological freak, pornography brain need. They didn't have this fixation on sex like men today do. And it's a red pill talking point that, oh, women, they don't know how to cook, they don't know how to be good wives anymore, It doesn't matter. They don't have to. They are so valued. They are so praised. Everything is given to them just for being women, and this is because men are this is because of oversexualization. This is because that's all they have to do. This is because that's all men care about. You see what I'm saying? It happens, men become fixated on this, and they're in no position now to demand anything better of women because they will do anything for women just because they are so, they need it. They need it in a way that women do not at all need it. And this is the imbalance. This is where the imbalance comes from. Am I cooking? Am I not cooking? This is another thing to understand. The same thing doesn't happen with women. We all become over-sexualized, but women don't have this need for men. A lot of them become like spinsters. They're holding out for the absolute best. Like, you have to think about, if you want to understand, you have to think about the fantasies of the respective genders. The woman fantasy is, it's like these romance novels. This guy, this high status guy who might be a beast, who might be a mobster, one of these weird archetypes. And it is fundamentally turbulent and irrational because a guy like that has plenty of options, but they want to lock him down. They want to domesticate him, but if they really domesticate him, they won't really like him anymore. So there's this conflict. It's like, when I read that Morning Glory Milking Farm book, which is about a girl who starts working at a farm where she has to milk bull hybrid human minotaurs. And then she falls in love with one of the minotaurs, and there's this one scene where they go on a date, and the minotaur guy, offers to pay for the meal, but the girl, she doesn't like it because she's a feminist, so she wants to pay part of the meal. So then the female author, I mean, this is real slop, this kind of stuff, but the female author, she writes this dialogue. The bull goes on this long-winded explanation to sort of circumvent her political, social programming, cater to it, but still spoiler her and do the masculine thing. It's like, oh, but I have to spoil you because I make more money, and da-da-da. And meanwhile, it's a minotaur talking to this bitch. You get what I'm saying? It's like, it's totally, there's like some real gymnastics going on, balancing these things, the modern sensibilities and the carnal desires. Anyways, meanwhile, a male fantasy is something more like a James Bond type of thing, or an isekai, where a guy comes into this position where he is very capable, he has status, he's interesting. For James Bond is James Bond. For an isekai, some loser with no friends gets transported into some sort of video game world where he levels up and gets powerful and stuff. And then he goes around, and everywhere he goes, all these women are just attracted to him. So that's what it is, man. That's what happens. New media is really what creates this hyperfixation. And it happens to men in particular in a way that it does not happen to women. Men become very hyper-focused on the husband. Their desire for women is at an all-time high, and it's a desire for basically all women. Whereas women really do not desire, they do not like most men. Like, am I crazy to say that? They just don't, they do not have this desire. They don't actually like most men at all. But men like most women, they don't have this selectivity. Dudes get horny and look at clearly loud, obnoxious women and call them charismatic. Dudes get horny and look at a crazy girl, someone who is mentally challenged, and go, oh, she's freaky. Dudes get horny and call malnourished hoes picturesque. I don't know. A girl could have buck teeth and a lazy eye. Dudes get horny and call her exotic. You get what I'm saying? It's there's some people that might not be familiar with this. This is OG black pill slang before it got all big. It's the juggernaut theory. The juggernaut theory it's called this way. It's like calling women juggernauts because no matter what, there will be tons of guys who are attracted to them. It's like if you're a lower on the rung guys, you'll think to go for the uglier girls, but tons of other guys are thinking that too. So it's like women are juggernauts. They can't lose. The pretty girls, guys are going after them. The ugly girls, tons of other guys are thinking, oh, all the guys are going for the pretty girls. We'll go for the ugly girls. They're oversaturated too. And the juggernaut theory, this classic black pill theory, hinges on the idea that there is this massive imbalance in desire from men towards women. That women do not give the same grace to men. It's like a man's natural attractive power has been hindered because he is not able to provide resources in the same way. We have modern machines. We have this like fake economy. It's not the same. A lot of women out earn men now. So all the while men's natural bargaining chips, their natural attractive power has been taken, women's has been artificially elevated, which is their feminine wiles, their social and their sexual value. This has been sent through the roof because of male hypersexuality instilled by our culture and the internet. It's almost like this over attraction from men. It throws off the balance of things, the push and pull of the flirtatious dynamic, you know? It throws it all off. Too much desire. It's repulsive. You know, that is sort of a game sort of thing, right? Where people want what they can't have. And you don't want to appear too available. You want to have the abundance mindset, right? You want to seem coy. You want to seem like, nah, man, you're just another bitch. I'll get enough fun with the bitches on my. It's like a Robert Ringer's boy-girl theory. Boy wants girl, therefore girl is uninterested in boy. As soon as the boy becomes disinterested in girl, maybe he goes after another girl, now the girl wants the boy. There are many such cases. So if we're in a situation where all these guys have gooner brain and they have this immense desire for this thing, even though they're not actually more virile, they're less virile than all other men in history. Women are that's kind of repulsive, right? So that's it. Now, how do you fix it? How do you restore balance to the force? Well, it should be obvious. You have to stop gooning and desexualize your brain the best you can. That's how you stop this vicious cycle of feeding into all this stuff. Men create the way women are, women create the way men are. There's no decoupling of responsibility. Change starts within yourself, homie. That's what you got to do the best you can is unrape yourself. Here's the thing, this whole like disinterested, playing it cool, not wanting the girl thing, that can't be faked. There are two ways to do it. You could try to have the abundance mindset, but that's something that I don't think you could just summon up if you don't have the appropriate positive reinforcement. You can't just, I mean, some people might have the capacity to delude themselves in that way, to trick their mind into thinking they have abundance when they really do not, but might work. The other way is to actually, through discipline, through austerity, through thought control, reduce your desire to where you're really not thinking about it like that. You're just locked in. There is something to it. I'm not saying it overrides looks or height or status or any of this stuff. I'm not going to make a ridiculous claim like that, but sometimes when you give up something, you genuinely let it go, it just comes to you all of a sudden in abundance. And it's like, wow, and I've experienced that. I have experienced that a little bit because I've been very serious, very deliberate about stone cold chastity this year. I've run the thoughts in my brain. If a beautiful woman came up to me and she wanted it, I would say no. I would say no. Sophie Rain could come on to me, and I would push her off. I'd get out of here. I'd dust myself off, and I'd take a hike. I'd walk the boner off. You think I'm joking? You think I'm not serious? And when I've had that mentality, when I've seriously had that in my head that I would not, when I'm not thinking about all this stuff, I don't know, maybe you get a different energy about you because they just come out the woodwork. I swear, in a way that hasn't really happened before, and maybe if this gives some motivation to some guys who feel like they can make it. If you experience like a pure, innocent interaction and flirting that's different from this over-sexualized brain everybody has where, I don't know, it's muddy, it's dirty, it's murky. But if you have this like pure interaction, it's still polarized, it's still masculine, feminine, and there's still a little energy there, but it's not with this nasty muck, this filth. It's really something beautiful. It really is. That's a big tip, and maybe once I get further on, maybe once I reach a full year, I'll drop something more in depth, like a serious method to stop gooning completely, because it wasn't easy peasy. It wasn't any of this other stuff. That ultimately didn't work for me. But one thing is, I always used to really, even if I was trying not to beat off or goon, I really did covet and desire intercourse with many different women. It's something I really wanted. if I could live that lifestyle, that real promiscuous lifestyle, it's something I wanted. It's only when I really became convinced that that's not good, I became very serious, that I let it go, and I developed the firm intention that I will only do that with someone who I intend to have children with. That's when it became so much easier to not beat off, to not be addicted to pornography. You have to pay attention to what you're thinking about, what you covet, because a lot of guys, they're trying not to beat off, but they still want to have intercourse with many different women. They want to live that lifestyle, and if they still want that, if they still desire it, if they still covet it, it's hard not to when you can simulate that on the internet. I don't know. That's something. Food for thought. Thanks for watching.